Hello, good evening, and welcome to Psychic Talk with Priscilla Gendron. And welcome from fairly warm, but a little bit windy day in South Africa. And it's my absolute pleasure to invite the amazing Roxanne Vaudreuil all the way from the other side of the country and the world, from Canada. And it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the show. And I'm going to just leave the introduction up to you. She's a phenomenal woman with an amazing story. So welcome, Roxanne, and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and your journey.
Thanks so much, first of all, Priscilla, for having me on the show. I really am excited to be here, and I really appreciate what you're offering. I am an intuitive clairvoyant. I've also been trained with Modern Master, and what that is it's a mode of energy healing that helps to really unwind everything that's happened in previous lives and getting you to here. So basically all timelines. And it really helps you to align with your higher self and even clearing the channels up to the Akashic records. I'm also a higher priestess practitioner within the Goddess Healing Matrix system. And for me, that not only helped my intuitive gifts expand, but it really helped me dive deep into all the residue that was still there. I've also taken mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which really helps you get into what causes your story. So the influences of when we were children and the events and everything that gets accumulated and helps us to create that view that we now not only view other people in, but we view ourselves. And that's usually through pain. So, and that's unwinding that and getting to your real truth. So for me, as a child, I was highly intuitive, and I shut that off because it's, as we do, because when your mom gets freaked out, you stop talking about it, right? Because you don't want to scare your mom. And we've recently had so many conversations around that, and every time we start talking about it, she keeps apologizing to me, and it's okay, Mom. It's good because I've now healed that, so it's good. So for me, it's all about connection. It's all about getting to your story, and with everything that I've done, it's really helped me dive deep into my chakras. So I align my chakras, like I can feel you through there, and that helps me. So I get a vision, and then I hear words, and then I feel you, and that's what kind of helps me get to you.
So, sort of growing up, obviously you're born with this, like most of us are, that are in this field, and that pursue it in later life. What was sort of like your obstacles that you had to overcome in terms of self-acceptance of your gifts?
Yeah. For self-acceptance, I just thought it was natural just to discuss and just to convey who was either going to be phone calling or who was coming for a visit, or even what I felt or saw in the room. And at that point in time, because that was back in the 70s, right? So we had all those wonderful movies and stories around The Exorcist and Cujo and everything else like that. And my mom was, and this is what happens to a lot of us, I believe, too, because we have that religion influence on us, right? So my mom automatically called me her demon child. And she thought I was going to spend, start doing back bends. My head was going to rotate. I was going to throw out green soup. She just, yeah. So I had a lot of that.
It's not easy. It's not easy because, in those days, it was taboo, and it was never promoted and it was really frowned upon. It still was devil's work.
It really was. And And anybody who was brave enough to say that they had some sort of gift, not only were they feared, but they were ridiculed and they were judged. And
Yes.
so, and of course, so many of us who are empaths, we don't know any different. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea I was different from anybody else. No idea.
Yeah. It was just like
Yeah.
your gift was your gift and you used it and that was it.
Yep. Yep. And so then I just used it to, because I had a lot of trauma in my childhood, a
Yeah.
lot of physical and sexual abuse. And I shouldn't say a lot of physical, it was more sexual and emotional and mental, right?
Mm.
So that's what it was for me. And so that I used it as a safeguard, right? Because then I would be shown, because being clairvoyant, you're shown those pictures. So
Yes.
then I would use it as a safeguard and a security measure. And then I would relay that to my mom, which is what really threw her off, because not only am I seeing something, she thought I was lying. She thought I was creating stories. But
Yeah.
then it would actually happen the way I said. So then it made her wonder if I was actually creating this. Well, being a child, you don't create it. You don't egg it
No.
on. You don't invite it in. So yeah, it was really confusing for her. It was really hard for her to accept.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I kind of agree with you in that respect because, it's something that our parents and our generation um, don't know how to gel the two, because it is something very different to the norm of what normal people behave like.
Yes. And even now, even though we're more open about it,
Mm.
it's even looking at it from that aspect, people still have a hard time understanding that. It,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And that's the hard thing, is that, being empathic, you are a lot more sensitive to things around you. Um, and to then also have all this trauma happen to you, um,
Mhm.
how do you think that it affected you sort of going forward in your life, like as now in adulthood?
I went into, I had, oh shoot, what's the word? Not necessarily defense, but I had the word and now it's just gone. But I went into like very protective mode, and I was being very self defensive. And yeah, the word's not coming to me. Weird. But that went, and I operated within that my whole life, and I had no idea I was there. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was kind
because
of
I
like
didn't
almost
know any different.
self-preservation, wasn't it?
I'm sorry.
Almost kind of like self-preservation.
It was, and still not knowing that I was an empath and picking up on other people's emotions, I could adapt. And that's one of the things that I found. And that's what
Mm.
was my internal struggle, right? Because I could feel them and I could adapt to make them comfortable. But I had all of this struggle within me, and trust was a huge thing. I really did not know my story. I really did
Mm.
not know who I was. And I know what story I wanted to be and what I wanted to create.
Yes.
And that wasn't happening. Right.
Yeah.
And because, I met the guy. 3 months before we were going to be married, we broke up, and I thought, and that was going to be my life. And that was my story. And how old was I? I think it was like 22, 23, something like that. And, and after that, you know, my story of what I could create that was going to be beautiful and so different from the way that I grew up,
Mm.
um, not only devastated me, but it took me a long time to work through that, right?
Yeah.
Because again, you're feeling other people and you're feeling their disappointment and sadness. So now you're bringing that into you, and it's
Mm.
compounding.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So,
And
I mean, looking at yourself now, I kind of feel like you've you've got your moments, you've got yourself together in the terms of self-acceptance. What do you think was your almost like your aha moment for that self-realization?
Actually, it was after my divorce.
That works.
That actually, it was just before my divorce. It was when I was in theater, and it was the last play that I did, and I was on stage with. And a friend of mine, actually, she's highly intuitive, and of course, everybody would always go to her and ask her to read them, and she would just pull cards. She grew up in Ireland, and and she would get me to, when she started to really listen and watch me, and what she started to do was get me to point at people, and she'd get me to describe them. And I just started doing it, right? Because I just thought it was a natural thing, because theater allows empaths to really use their gifts, right? Because
Yes.
you use it in characters. So, and it was really easy to make a character come to life because I could feel how this character should be. And so it was really easy to bring it out.
Yes.
However, we were sitting on the stairs one day, and we had a friend between us, and she was on the other side. So she's pointing at people, and I'm describing them and saying what their day was like. And the person sitting beside me, his face just went blank, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Like,
And I'm like, "Oh, come on, you can do this too, right?" Like, I nudged him. I go, "You can do this too. You're a thespian." He's like, "I can't
no.
do what you just did." And that made me realize I had something. Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe I am a little bit more different
Maybe
than everybody
I
else.
am. Yeah, because
Just a
my
little
whole life I was like, am I psychic? I don't know if I am, right?
bit.
Because there was nobody else around me to show me or help me
Yes, we're
or
compared
guide
to.
me
Yeah.
through this, right? Yeah, there was no mentor or anybody. So that's what really got me going. And then she actually started to help me open up to it a little bit more. And then I started to see how um like I actually, my crossed over grandmother, she came to me a few times, and
Mm.
that was really exciting. So I had very few memories of her because she passed when I was 3. So I had very few memories of her. So that was really exciting. And I actually got to meet some other crossed over um, family members. So then I thought, well, maybe I'm a medium, but I don't feel strong in the medium. I
Yeah.
feel that I can channel, and I do get emotion. So being that empath, I can see them, and I do feel them, but I can't have a conversation with them. So it's
Mm.
not quite developed there yet.
Yeah.
But definitely with the clairvoyance, it's like I get the picture, and then the words, and then the story, and then everything else.
Yeah. Then it all just falls into place. It sort of tumbles out.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's really neat.
Well, I'm seeing that we have some people on board, and we're just wanting to welcome everybody tonight. Hi to Kathy and Suki, and to the others as well. If anybody has any questions for Roxanne, to please pop them in the chat, and she'll endeavor to answer them to the best of her abilities. So we've got some questions coming up from people already.
Oh,
So
great.
there we go. So our first question is, Suki would like to know, what can we do to heal from childhood trauma? What sort of things could people do?
Well, the first thing really is to understand that the story, because first of all, you're going to feel the impact of the emotions, right? And then it's all the judgments. But what really the judgments are the ones that we place on ourselves. It's the ones that we say that we should have done to maneuver through it.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And that's where we need to realize that that's not our story. So that is just something that we put on it because we want to try and maneuver through it. The next thing is to really get in touch with each layer of the emotion. Because as you
Mm.
maneuver through life and as you grow through life, anything that comes up that causes that emotion of either fear, of flight, of fight, of being triggered, of being overly sensitive, of whatever it is going to impact it, and it's going to make it bigger. And the bigger it gets, the more confusing it's going to be. So that's the second thing, is really identifying what those emotions are and naming them. So then you can get in touch with them. So it's very much a layer effect, and it's a process. It's very much an unwinding to really get to who you are. Because there's a few more steps to get involved into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not an easy journey to heal childhood trauma.
No, it's not something that you can just wipe away clean in 6 months or a year. It really is a lifetime. And for me, it has been, right? And looking back on it, the influences that have come in to even help me with my marriage, and then even with my second marriage, and where I was mentally and emotionally, and what both of those brought up to me, and then for me rather, and then what it launched me into. So for me, it's really getting an unwinding to that truth. It's getting to that core. Yeah.
But I feel like also, isn't it like a duality? Like you can either have like a positive effect or a negative effect, or sometimes even both in the journey to that self-discovery and working through it.
Pain causes growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it rips us open. It just breaks us wide open. And that's what it will be. Survival mode. That was the word that I was trying to remember. I went to survival mode. And yes, and that's what winds up happening for so many people who have gone through childhood drama, or trauma rather, is you shift into survival mode. And now that's how you live your life. So that's the first thing to understand, is that you are in survival mode, and to shift out of that, because it's knowing you're safe now. It's knowing the environment that you're creating for you is safe.
Yeah. And it's a very fine line to go from one to the other.
It
It's
is.
just literally about stepping over that line, and it's very fine. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because it comes down to trust and belief.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So our other question coming up is, what steps can we take to create our perfect life? I know that's quite a big one.
Yeah, well, you see, your perfect life. So really, what is a perfect life for you? Because when I hear the word perfect, it's outside of you. But when I hear authentic, it's more internal. So is that what you're trying to do, is have a more internal, authentic life? And then
I think so. I think that's what she means. Yeah, because
yeah.
perfect is external and authentic is internal. You're right.
Yeah. So it's just how you want to view it as, because your internal environment will always show up in your external environment. And it's how you relate to both, and it's how you decide to have that relationship with you internally that can create that life that you want externally.
Definitely.
I hope that kind of helps that question a bit. So it's really comes down to your internal relationship and agreements that you make with you.
Definitely. I think you're right about that. Okay, so we have a message from Catherine. She says, I wonder if Roxanne has any message for me.
Ooh. Okay. Well, just tuning into you. So one of the things that I do is I also tune in through the elements a little bit. And one of the things that I can feel is that you're very earthy. You're very solid with your grounding. And but there's also a fire aspect to you. So when you do things in your life, it's like quick, and your decisions are quick. And when you get stuff done, it's done. Yeah, but one of the things that I am hearing is that sometimes you do leave things unsaid or undone. So the things and your truth that you want to get out, you don't always say. Um, and that comes down to it's because you don't want to, it's almost like you trip over your tongue. It's almost like you get tongue tied and you want to say the words, but they get twisted. And what they mean inside of you doesn't always come out the way you want. So it's just pulling back on that fire energy a little bit and really trusting your earth, if that makes sense. I hope that helps, Catherine.
I think it does. I think it does. Okay. And then Suki said also, she said, would love a message from Spirit too. So.
Wow. Well, Suki, you are a very loving person. You're very kind. You're very compassionate and you're very considerate. It's time to switch that to you, though. It's time to switch out because I feel you're very heavy in your water. So your emotions are quite high. And you're trying to maneuver through that and you're trying to feel okay with that. So that's one of the things that I'm really picking up and feeling from you. And that's one of the things that I'm hearing and what they're showing me is that to maneuver through your water, through your emotions, it's really being compassionate and allowing space and holding space for you so that you can. I get flowers around you, so I can see that there's flowers. So that for me is an essence that needs to come into your life. So the smells, right? So things that help you to feel good within your body is smells. So if you can, whichever essence that is for you, because I get it's the milder ones, bring that into you. Bring that into your environment so you can really get back into being compassionate for you.
Yeah, I think that does help her quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's neat because I can feel them shifting. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, we got ya.
Oh, yeah. She says, very authentic. And Catherine also commented and said, yes, it does. Thank you. It really resonates with her. So
you're welcome.
So yeah, it's hitting the spot, shall we say. Okay. And then we have the lovely Tracy, and she says, oh wow, Roxanne, can you pick up my energy? Anything for Roxanne, for Tracy?
Yeah, you are a very intense energy, aren't you? You have you are so much. And when I say so much, it's like, I don't mean over the top or anything. It's just that you love to bring up the energy around. Like you bring up the energy in a room when you enter it. It's like yeah, it's like you have so much of it. You're springing, you're jumping, and you tire yourself out. So just be careful about that because you love to see everybody smile and you love engaging with people. So just be aware of how much energy you're exchanging within the room, okay? That's the one thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, she does.
I like
that. Yeah, definitely. This is spot on.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
And Suki also gave a very good comment. It ends now. Where did I leave Suki's comment? Suki says, thank you so much. That really resonates.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you.
Okay. She says, spot on. Thank you so much. And it's I always find it so fascinating when we are reading for people that we've never met or probably might never meet, and they're complete strangers, and we just hit on the nail on the head, and it completely just blows people's minds because it's like, well, how do you know that?
I know. And actually, my brother, he had to take, he's passed on now, but he had to take his dog to the vet. And this always, it always blew my mind. I'm like, well, you asked me. So he was my adopted brother. Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you to say, Tracy. Thank you. Um, he he said I just took my little guy in, and he was very, very attached to this little guy. He goes, "What do you think is going to happen?" And I said, "Do you want me to read him?" He goes, "Yes, please." Well, I did. I tuned into his dog, and I said, "There's just something going on with his liver. He'll be fine. It just needs to metabolize, and he'll be okay." A
Yes.
few minutes later, he goes, "The vet just said what you said." He goes, "How did you know?" I go, "You asked me to read it." He goes, "I don't get this. How did you know?" Like, then don't ask me. I don't know. It's just what I was told to tell you.
You
So
asked and
I
I
told
answered.
you. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so Louise is asking, are the time frames I have set for my plans realistic?
Instantly, as soon as I read that, I heard a very loud no. I heard that so you've got what you want to do, and then you've also got your second set of plans that you don't really want to initiate, but actually feel more like it would be more authentic for you. So you've set your plans, but then you've also got your backup. And I'm feeling that that's what you've got going on for you. And it's the fluidity between the two that I'm being shown of. So be a little bit flexible with them, allow movement, just don't be so harsh. Because as soon as you become harsh, then you lose your momentum because then your language for you changes. So don't allow that to happen to you. Just be mindful and aware. So just remain fluid.
Yeah, I think it's important because sometimes we want something to happen so desperately.
Mm.
And so we force it not to happen because then we force obstacles in the way or delays or forcing a river to go down a different path that it's not meant to.
That's right. Yeah.
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 That's very true.
Yeah. So it's you're on the right track. The other thing that I'm also hearing is that be more direct and be more um what are the words, like very expressive and definitive. That's the word that I'm trying to get to. Be very definitive because you're battling with your words that you've created for your plan. So it's stirring up some of these emotions and it's making you question whether or not you can trust yourself and believe in yourself this time. So be definitive, and whatever emotions come up for that, that's what you release. That's what you allow to shift. Okay, so let it shift so you can get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she says, thanks so much. Blessings to you both.
You're very welcome. Thank you for
Thank you,
trusting.
Louise. Okay, our next question comes from Susan, and she says, can you ask Roxanne for specific clarity on the way I am to serve in this lifetime and what locks I am to be aware of to have greater ease?
Oh,
It's quite a big one.
that is quite a big one. And the first thing that I'm hearing for your block is nurturing. And when I mean nurturing, it's nurturing you've got a few things going on within your chakras and it feels like you're just starting on your spiritual path, on your growth. And it feels like you're kind of way up in the air here. It's like you love being up here. And any one of us who are open and have connected, we will tell you that's where we love being. It's up there. But it's also bringing it back down, right?
Yeah.
within this, you're going to be going through a lot of growth. And it's really coming down to understanding where your boundaries are, hun. That's your biggest thing. So for you, the way to serve within this lifetime, you are such a natural nurturer, and there's a lot of things going on with your throat. Like, even if, do you do anything with like voice? Either movement through voice, like either with singing or helping people with their speech or anything like that, because I really get that for you, hearing how people use their voice and their tone range. And that, ooh, that could even be more of really getting into sounds. Like all of a sudden I got the vision of singing bowls and stuff like that. So really using that. But sounds and tones are very big for you. That almost takes you to another dimension and another plane, and it opens up so much for you and allows you to sit within that space for expansion. No
Yeah.
throat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she communicates and does communication, not singing though, or things like that. So maybe it's the way she's
Mm-hmm.
putting her
Yeah,
message.
you're getting that too. Yeah, so it's a lot around the tones. So maybe it's even creating the tones with singing bowls or something, because I feel that that will really help you expand. And when you expand, you bring others into that space where they can expand. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, so you are really expanding with
Yeah.
that. That's, I cannot sing. But that's okay though. That's your block. You're telling yourself you can't.
Yeah.
But there's ways that you can, and there's ways that you can open up. So it's trusting that, because yeah. So
Definitely.
even if you don't sing, it's just using tones, because I really feel that, because that's what I'm really being shown, is that'll bring you up. You're already so expanded, and that's what I mean by that air, right? And yeah, because things just shift through you so naturally. Right?
Yeah.
It just flows through you.
So does everyone else.
So does everyone else. Yes. Yeah. So it's really understand. There you go. I'm feeling you getting more grounded now. You're starting
Yes,
to
tell me I
come.
cannot sing.
Tell me I cannot sing.
Ah,
Oh,
I
I
think
love it.
the beauty of a voice is in the eye of the beholder or the person singing. It's like it doesn't matter if it's in tune or not. It's the resonance with which you do it. That's
That's
important.
just it. Yeah. 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 I like that. Yeah.
So, we had some more questions here. Let me just find the other questions because we've been chatting so much. So Suki's asked another one. What message has Spirit have for the human race? So for all of us in general,
Oh,
going
for the
into
human race.
2022, because we're in November now, and it's like,
Yeah.
we're stepping into 2022 soon, and sort of what does that sort of look for all of us?
Right. So and this is actually something I like to do on a daily basis, or close to a daily basis, is I'll pull cards and then I'll meditate on it. And then whatever
Yeah,
flows through, whatever channels are, I'll start writing about it. I'll create a little picture and start writing about it. But what I'm still feeling that there's still a lot of energy that needs to be unwound close to the end here, within the collective as a whole, in order for us to shift through it. And a lot of that is that residual, it's that residue, it's that understanding between greed and serving. And it's really, we're not so far in the greed anymore. We've moved. So the needle has shifted. Are we neutral? We're not near neutral yet. We still have a ways to go. But, and however, I feel that probably that will start to shift maybe around September of next year. It'll really start to flow. But the more that all of us work on ourselves, create that, find the impurity within the balance of that energetic flow within us. I love how they see, this is what I mean. They show me the words and then I get the story, right? So it's the impurity of it that we need to really become more authentic with it. And what I mean by that is seeing how unstable the energy that we're creating right now. We're not as much as in fear, but we're not trusting. As a whole, we still don't trust. We really lost that with each other. And so that can only come when we start trusting ourselves and the experiences that we create within our environment. Then we can really start trusting each other again. It's coming. It's shifting. It's just going to take a little bit longer to get there.
Yeah, I think it's because we've been scared into a corner, and now we're having to step out of the corner and find our feet and stand in our truth. And that's
just it. And that's what we're beginning to do, because now we don't have any other choice but to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of like the gift that you have and you're connecting with spirit, is there more than one kind of energy spirit that you connect with? Or is it just the regular?
Yes, no, I know you feel that. I know you feel that. It's like, no, she's connecting to a lot more than what she's saying.
Oh yeah, I can see that. There's a whole plethora behind you.
There is. It's the goddesses and the ascended masters. And and the dragons, I do connect to the dragons every now and again. They come in. It's not like connecting to a dragon who I can channel, but it's to that realm. It's to that energy. Right. Yes. And I know, and what's interesting is the more that I expand, the more come around me. And I've been feeling a lot more of the ascended master energy coming in. And I'm like, okay, you guys, you're like really getting strong now. And they are, and they're really getting strong. And for me, it's humbling and it's an honor that more of them are coming in. And I've started creating some workshops. But eventually that's what I'm going to be really doing, is harnessing that. Because as an energetic healer, what I do is I channel energy not only from the goddesses, but I channel it from my higher self. I also channel it from Lemuria. I go all the way back, which is why the moon phases, right? That's because the moon phases helps us get in touch with our ancestral, as well as not only our current past, but our ancestral past, because all of that is within our body. We just have to unlock it. So, and what I've been doing lately, spending time in the Pleiades realm. Yeah, with the Seven Sisters. So I've been spending time. So all of it is really starting to expand. And I know, and I really feel that the Ascended Masters have been doing this, because I've been working closely actually with some of the ones that you don't normally hear of. And one is St. John the Baptist. He's been around me a lot.
Amazing.
And this morning I kept on hearing the Eye of Ra. So I know he's starting to come in. So,
Which one do you feel like yourself is like the strongest at the moment? Like, as in, which one do you think is? Which one do you feel like is very strong at the moment? Like your strongest one that's pulling you for
Ra
knowledge
right now,
and
I
information.
feel it's Ra.
Ra.
Yeah,
and what sort of things does he bring forward for you?
Well, the one thing that, because I keep hearing, is look into the eye. So it's like, oh, okay, so I've done all of this expansion. Now he's like, okay, now you got to pull it all in. Now you got to pull it all in and center, because at some point, and this was just a couple of months ago, and I said this to my mentor. I said, I know they want me to start creating. I know they want me to start putting this into teachable format. And I'm like, I'm not ready. But they're like, yes, you are.
It's always difficult when we don't think we're ready, and they keep on pushing us and kicking us into that direction.
Well, it's because I want to make sure that I get it out not only in an understandable format, but in a teachable format.
Yes.
Yes. Because our souls, as we know, want to expand, but our bodies need time to catch up. So it's that.
Very true.
It's that sort of duality going on. Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see who else has got some messages. Anybody else want to put a message into the chat for Roxanne? Please do so. We're here for a little while, a few more minutes. And I think that we're going to do a little competition. What do you think?
A little competition. Okay.
Okay. So to win a session with Roxanne, you choose a number between 1 and 11 and put it in the chat, and we'll choose a winner. But you're only allowed to put in one number. No cheating, Susan, because last time you put in lots of numbers. So, just pop a number into the chat, and Roxanne will choose a number. So anything between 1 and 11, and then we will choose somebody. So I'll just let that play for a bit. Sure. So I get a sense that for you, the journey hasn't always been an easy journey, and you've explained a lot of things within the, in your journey of your childhood and everything that you've been through, and all the, I think all the hardships. But if we can flip the coin and say, what was one of the positive things that you knew that has influenced your life from the past that you brought with you into the future?
Well, and that was something that I have really focused on throughout my entire life, was to always find something that was beautiful and bring that forward. Being born on a farm, having chickens, right? That was always beautiful. It was, I have so many fun memories of feeding chickens and them at 3 years old coming around me. It was stuff like that. And then it was, when I was absolutely in love, and that beautiful moment, it was graduating with everything that was going on within my environment. And that was beautiful. And I got to wear this amazing dress. It was getting married, right? And it was, and then, you know what, even the beauty through the pain of it, having the pain just break me open and help me get to the truth. I have gratitude, and for me, that's also beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's important, because it can't always just be all the negative stuff that you take from your past. No. Because that's not the total sum of who you are. We're made up of good and bad things that have happened to us in our past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Right. So we're getting some numbers coming through.
Okay.
And we're going to see if you can channel the right number. Okay. We've got a few people that have put numbers in. Not everybody has put their numbers in yet. So we might just give it a few minutes.
Okay.
And then I know Owen is on. I know he hasn't asked a question, but is there anything for Owen? Any question for Owen? Anything like any information that you could give him for himself going forward?
For Owen, what Yeah. You see, okay, so a couple of things that I heard instantly was confidence and something around justice and being justified. So
Mm.
I feel that he is very determined. Um, I feel that there's, yeah, battles going on within um, his vocabulary, like for himself and what he's using to express and how he wants to get that out. He feels like he's a channeler. Is he a channeler?
Mm-hmm.
He feels like that, and he also feels like he reads and he's a writer.
Yes.
So for me, it's really exploring, and that's what it all is coming through, is really exploring and diving deep into that. His confidence will expand. He's determined. And he's got a lot of focused energy on this, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes what happens is the blindfold. That's what it is. He's being blinded right now because all he sees is one way. So it's just
Mm.
allowing and approving. That's where the justice comes in,
Yeah.
or the expansion to allow it so that it can grow and it can become the way he wants it to be.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Not so
That's very
controlling.
accurate. That very, very accurate for Owen. He's normally the one that puts questions in the chat, so he's a bit quiet today. Okay, so we've only got a couple of numbers. So I'm going to call the three numbers out, and you can choose because only three people have put numbers down. So, and let's have a look. So it's very easy: 6, 7, or 8. So it's your choice of which one you'd like to choose.
Okay. 6, 7, or 8. Well, 8's the closest to 9 because I had 9.
Fantastic. Okay. So, well, there we go. Susan got it. So what I'll do is I will put the two of you in touch with each other.
Oh, that's perfect.
So I
Thank
will
you.
message Susan your number and your details, and then we can connect in that way. So that'll be great.
Okay. No,
So
that sounds great.
congratulations,
Thank you.
Susan. Right. And Susan is the winner. Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for playing and for asking questions and for joining.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
been an
enjoyed
amazing
today.
session.
Hmm.
So grateful. She says in love and light. Congrats, Suze. I will get the two of you connected up, and then you can have your session with Roxanne. She is phenomenal. So any sort of parting words for us all? Any sort of gleams of messages from above that we can take with us?
What I'm really hearing, especially getting close to the end of the year where we're all at, is go easy. Go easy. Be grateful for what you do. Be in gratitude. And I think so many of us are there already, but it's also honoring your balance. That's also what I'm being shown, is honor your balance. So just know when you're giving too much, and really enjoy these last little bit of energetic shifts, because I feel that it's still going to be a tiny bit bumpy before the end of the year. I
Yeah.
just kind of got shown a spike, and I'm not too sure when it's going to happen, but there's still a bit of an energetic shift to help us let go of stuff. So it's going to be bumpy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like we haven't had enough of a bumpy ride.
Right? It's like, we're all done. Like, I'm just done with this.
A whiplash.
Yes, but just go easy. Just go easy and really focus on what's in your home and your space. So
Yeah.
many people are going to be decorating. But yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Owen. Oh, you're so welcome.
Right. So, ladies and gents, we're about to wrap up. And if you'd like to click like and subscribe to the channel to get reminders on our upcoming talks and guests. We've got guests coming up every single week until sort of the middle of December. And then we'll be taking a little break for Christmas and New Year, and then back again in the new year. So in order to get hold of, and I didn't put a little banner for that. If you wanted to just give out your email address or contact details. I didn't type that up.
Sure. So to get a hold of me, my website is www.crossingbridgesnow.com. And that might be a little bit easier. Oh, sorry, pardon me, than my email. My email is crossingbridgesyyc@gmail.com.
Okay, fantastic. So if you want to get hold of her, just play back this video and you'll get all her details. And I hope that you continue to have a wonderful week ahead. And thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Owen, for all the wonderful messages. And yes, she says yes with the decorating. She's helping help with the decorating. It's been a nightmare.
Right? Yes, it has.
Yeah. Definitely. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much, Roxanne, for joining us tonight or this morning where you are. And it's just been such a pleasure and an absolute thrill to have you. You've got just the most phenomenal energy, and your connection to spirit is just so divine. So thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for asking me, Priscilla. Thank you.
And if you want to see anything about Roxanne, she does have a video available on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference. She is one of our speakers. So you can also find the information there as well and read up all about her and her wonderful work. And so it's a good night from me and a good night from
Roxanne. Good morning.
Good morning from Roxanne. Good night, everybody. Have a good day. Bye.